Sweet.
Welcome back
Welcome back. Yeah.
to Ikebukuro.
Do we have a name yet?
I think it should include Ikebukuro.
You want to dox yourself in the
Ikebukuro.
name of the podcast?
Yeah, Bukuro,
Not worried about like people showing up on a
Bukuro
plane.
boys.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I mean,
I'm sure there'd be some people showing up. I mean, there's like so many tourists already that I'm seeing around.
would be like a milestone to have first weird interaction with a fan or something.
Yeah.
Just trying to like buy groceries or something, getting harassed by some tourist. Came all this way to see you.
Yeah, there's so many like. I think Tokyo is getting kind of over touristed at the moment, and
Hot take.
long term residents are getting a little bit burned out from it. I mean, it was cool for like the first couple months, but yeah, now it's just like every weekend is like someone wants to visit and get shown around, and the free tour guide thing is kind of burning out a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had the opposite experience. I couldn't spend enough time with my friend who came here.
Oh, your friend came recently?
Yeah.
Or?
I think I told you, right? Him and his brother were here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But they seem pretty intent on doing their own thing while,
they just had
they're
their
around.
own itinerary.
Yeah.
That's I had one of my friends from I know from online visited recently, and yeah, he was. I mean, you met him when he came out.
Like the illustrator?
The other guy.
Other guy.
Yeah, it was here recently.
Oh yeah. I mean,
so he was pretty good. Like he just had his own. Seemed like he had a pretty self worked out itinerary. So he wasn't really like imposing too much or anything. But I mean it's cool. Like we're always happy to be tour guides, but it's just like 5 years worth of people in like 5 months or something. So it's like almost every weekend we're getting hit up, or at least I'm getting hit up to come out or something.
good. I mean, I can see how that would get boring, or not boring, but tiresome, exhausting. Like trying to do all your normal stuff like this pod, and
yeah, it's cool, but it does. Yeah, it cuts into just normal schedule and other things.
they're trying to get like more tourists out to like the countryside, right? Like out of like Tokyo, basically. Yeah. You saw what they did with the Fuji Kawaguchiko Lawson, right?
Oh, didn't they like fence it off or something?
Yeah,
or
they like put up like a black tarp from like basically people were like jaywalking across the street in front of the convenience store to like take a photo with the convenience store and then like Fuji over top of it.
Yeah.
So like on the opposite side of the street, they put up a big black like tarp
and just like tarped it off.
Yeah.
I doubt that's going to last very long.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're probably going to take it down. But well, Kyoto is doing stuff too, right? Like Kyoto is blocking some areas, I think, from tourists, because again, it's like people are just live in these areas and they're like trying to get to work or something. You're just like getting blocked by tourists, or
geishas getting like harassed by tourists. People trying to like grab their hair accessories or something.
I'm sure it's pretty bad, actually. I mean, so that's sort of the untold story, is like people that were those of us who were here this whole time through COVID, and now this year it's like everyone is like let's discover Japan
for the first time.
And it's like, okay, we were here when it wasn't
before it was cool.
Well, yeah, and
no, it was always cool.
It was always cool, but when it wasn't necessally that convenient to be here for various reasons,
or that cheap,
cheap, right? Yeah. So, after getting through a couple of years of COVID here, where Japanese people half the time were like, why the fuck are you still here? Now it's like, let's open the floodgates to get some revenue.
Yeah,
which fine, but yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of whiplash, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy to look back fondly now at those times, I think, when there weren't so many tourists everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like I managed to travel a bit within Japan during that time, which was nice, like seeing Kyoto while it wasn't completely overrun with tourists. Though it was still pretty busy, like what's it called? Like what do they call it? Gion. What's the something Terra?
Kiyomizudera.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That was still like packed, right?
I'm sure it'd mostly just be domestic tourists, though, right?
Basically.
I don't think Kyoto ever really sleeps. So it's probably consistent through it.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So like it's kind of feels like Japan's turning into like Thailand 2.0 or something, where it's like a tourist-driven economy.
Yeah, that's the saying. That's like seems to be the theme this year. Is that it's like slipping into the third world or whatever.
Well,
for better or worse, I guess. For better, not that there's anything wrong with that. But,
so I mean, like Thai culture is like they're essentially like it seems to me that they're like indoctrinated or culturally conditioned into being like super tourist friendly, right? Like Thai smile and whatnot, but like Japan's like the opposite, right? So it's like it's just a pressure cooker of xenophobic cultural undercurrents that will eventually overflow. And I think we saw a few of those kind of viral videos online. Did you hear about the like bell ringing incident in Kyoto?
No, what was that?
It was something stupid. It was like there's like a group of foreigners, and apparently like the main guy was like living here and lived here for long enough and spoke enough Japanese, but they were like ringing a bell outside a temple.
Okay. Yeah.
And like some like I think it was a Japanese female like confronts them. She's like, "Oh, you're like ringing it wrong. Like it's too loud." And yeah, to be fair, maybe they were being a bit obnoxious, but she also seemed very like hostile about it and like kind of was looking for aggression.
But this wasn't someone who like worked there or
no, it was just some random neighbor, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Or someone living there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, certainly a different side of Japan that maybe tourists don't want or don't think they'll experience. And most Japanese people won't go there.
Yeah.
They'll just silently hate you.
And just silently rage.
Yeah.
Give themselves an ulcer. Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to come here and like live out some kind of fantasy. So they have like very specific, I guess, like metrics for like what they want to happen or like what they think is going to happen, and a lot of the time it's like not terribly close to reality.
Don't have to call me out like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Aren't we all ultimately?
Yeah. But I think I feel like the social media and stuff has made it worse because there are these like bucket lists or whatever of things that they're like floating around. I mean, most content is just it's just like very generic level content of like, I went to the Konbini or something. Like, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you go beyond that, I guess?
Well, the most successful influencers that I can work out seem to be like posting literally like, I went to the Konbini or something. It's like I bought a rice ball. Like, okay, I guess it's like targeted at audiences back home or somewhere else where this is like a thing or something. But,
yeah, I mean, anything more nuanced, I guess, would just like not really
wouldn't have the same impact, I guess, or hit the same way.
It's like one of these kind of like Tsutaya Share Lounge.
Tsutaya Share Lounge?
Yeah, it's like they're launching like a shared office type thing.
Oh, like a WeWork kind of place? Or
basically,
like,
but it's like attached to the Tsutaya bookstore, I guess, since they own a bunch of property. But yeah, it's like what used to be the second floor Starbucks in the Shibuya Tsutaya building, right across from the Scramble crossing. That became like the share lounge, right? And well, like supposedly it's for co-working, right?
Okay, yeah.
But it's just packed with tourists, basically, right?
Just like taking a break or whatever. Yeah.
Well, yeah, taking a break, and then also like they put up like kind of anime figurines and like full size, like plastic
so it's like a
stuff,
tourist opportunity.
Yeah.
Photo opportunity or whatever.
So there's people who I think didn't even necessarily pay to be in the space, just kind of milling around.
Just to take pics or whatever.
And in typical tourist fashion, completely oblivious to like any...
People actually trying to work. Or
any like daily people trying to get through their day, basically, right?
Get stuff done there.
Yeah. But I know, I guess we're all tourists somewhere, sometime, right? So maybe not all that different.
Yeah, it's sort of the thing. It's like, even if you've been here for like 20 years or something, like most people are just going to look at you and be like, oh, it's probably a tourist. It's probably...
That's why COVID here was good, right? Because people had to look at you and be like, oh, you're like actually living here, I guess, right?
Well, you presented more of a conundrum, I guess, because... They're like, why is it here? Why
a foreigner can't be living among us, right?
Yeah, it's like if you come home and there's like a bug on your pillow or something, right? Like, you're like, why is it here? It's kind of the same. I feel it was the same.
The bugs, you're like, I live here, bro. Like that's my corner.
I've been here a long time. You didn't notice, right? No, it's sort of the same thing. So I think that was sort of the interesting part of being here during COVID. I mean, there's a lot of interesting parts. I think there could be an entire podcast series of just Japan COVID period adventures, because there was certainly a lot of adventures that we all got up to when presumably we weren't supposed to be really doing much. But
I mean, please rest assured we were socially distancing as required by whoever, what's his face.
No,
whatever that guy in the U.S. is who says all that stuff, and
So there's a lot going on, and this year it just feels kind of back to, quite basics with tourism and other levels of kind of dumbing down the culture in the society.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, like ostensibly the border was open from last year, right? But I know 2023 rather. Wow, 2013. 2023 was I don't know. Definitely,
I think there's still limited numbers. Like, I don't think they were taking... I remember there was some...
Maybe in the fall they opened up completely or something.
Yeah, I remember there was some limitation with Kyoto too last year. Like, they were limiting certain groups.
Yeah, they're trying to do like tour guides only or something.
I think that's one of those programs that probably just never panned out or whatever.
But it's too easy to circumvent it, presumably, right? Yeah. Can't really enforce that too well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird that summer solstice was like a week ago, right?
Yeah, halfway through the year already.
I'm like, it always feels so weird and early, right?
It feels too early.
Yeah. Like summer doesn't even start yet. And it's like, well, I guess it technically is the beginning of summer,
beginning already. Yeah.
It always falls on a full moon, right?
Yeah, usually. Yeah.
Guess that's how they set up that calendar.
Yeah.
That's what makes it a solstice.
Yeah.
Wait, but it's always the 21st of June is the solstice.
I think it's always the same day. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
And equinox is December, right?
No. Or, that's winter solstice.
Yeah. Well, that's winter solstice rather.
And then equinox would be halfway between that. So that's like September, I guess.
I think September,
mid-September, and then March. Lines up.
I always confuse those two because there used to be these NES. I'm kind of showing my age here, but there used to be these NES video games called Equinox and Solstice. And they're like puzzle games or something. I don't even remember what they're about.
What kind of puzzle?
I guess it's like block puzzles or something.
Block puzzles?
Yeah.
Like
like moving blocks around and lining them up or something.
As a kid, I had this game called Traffic Jam or something, which was this like, it was probably like a 10 by 10 grid, and you'd have like a deck of cards, and you had these little car figurines that you like put on the grid in a certain, basically you would set it up to the way the challenge, the card like dictate the challenge, right? Then the objective was to like, basically your goal is to get the taxi like unjammed and get it off the grid. So you had to like,
this is like a board game though, or?
Well, yeah, it's like a solo puzzle game.
Okay,
right?
Yeah. But like a physical,
like
puzzle.
A physical.
Okay, so it's not a video game, right?
Yeah. But I know you said block games, so that's what I thought of.
Well, a lot of NES puzzle games were pretty basic, I guess. Like not really, almost like mobile games probably would be now, like just puzzle kind of stuff or like moving things around. Yeah. Lolo was another one. There used to be all these series that probably no one remembers now.
I don't think I even ever played NES.
NES, probably a little bit too early. Probably even SNES was too late, right?
Yeah, I know.
Just PlayStation or maybe,
yeah, basically like what's called N64. It's probably the first console I ever played.
Okay, yeah. So it's probably the mid 90s, I guess.
Yeah.
Early mid or
the
late.
NES rather.
No, N64.
N64. Yeah. So I guess when I played it was already pretty old, probably. That was probably like 2002 or something.
It was pretty late for N64, yeah.
2003? I don't even know.
I think N64 came out in 96 or 7, I want to say. I feel like sometime around then.
Yeah, back then, I probably could have spent all day just playing N64 or something, right?
Yeah.
But like now, like it's funny how it doesn't hold the same level of, I don't know, grip on attention.
There's some games I would probably still get pretty sucked into, even NES ones if I was playing them now.
Like what?
Castlevania, probably.
Castlevania. I feel like is that like a side scrolling? Yeah. Okay, we played it with Nick, right?
Yeah. I feel like I would, any of the original 3, I would probably get sucked quite into for a long time.
Yeah, they're like I mean, I feel like that game like leverages like perfectionism. Basically,
those games were designed in a very like fiendish way that I think is like quite. I mean, I'm not really keeping up with anything, but I suspect it's very different from the philosophy behind games now, which is like very, from what I can work out, seems like very, like trying to create some super immersive, like movie type world that you can like.
Yeah, depends on the game, depends on the platform. Like, I guess you're referencing something like Elden Ring or something, which is just like intense lore immersion. Or
most of the ones I hear about seem very, very fiddly, very like huge world.
Yeah, I mean, so you're talking about like Dark Souls or something, right?
Things like that. Things like that.
I mean, within the same,
or the Zelda ones, like the newer, I guess, Zelda ones. So there always sort of were those kind of games, but there's also that element of like just raw muscle memory perfectionism.
Yeah. That's like Guitar Hero and stuff, right? It's kind of the same wave.
So the platformers from the NES era were very much like, I think that's why people are still playing them today and like still like speed running them, because like there's just that sense you could like always do it slightly better than you did if you just like moved a little bit faster, or figured something out quicker or done something. So they definitely had this kind of like weird addictive quality, which I guess probably seems kind of primitive to people now, because you're like, okay, what is this? This is like 9 levels. That's it. And like, it's always the same thing. Doesn't seem like you would get that sucked into it, but weirdly it kind of does happen.
Yeah, like I'm finding parallels with like motorcycle track riding, where it's the same thing. It's like you get obsessed with the with the perfection of like the pursuit of perfection.
Yeah.
Like on the particular turn or something.
Yeah.
And like one time you'll like do one section perfectly, and then the next you'll mess it up and do another section perfectly.
Yeah.
So there's always that sense of like, if I can just do everything perfectly all together, then like, yeah, no, it'll feel good.
Yeah. I played the original Mario ones, like the first NES 3 or whatever, when I was at Christoph's house about a year or so ago. And I was surprised how many stupid mistakes I was making. I was like, oh, this requires way more obsessive muscle memory and fiddly control kind of stuff than I remembered. I was like, oh, this will probably be way easier now that I'm an adult. And I'm like, oh no, like my childhood self was like way more attuned to the level of, fiddly memorization and obsession that
you didn't have to worry about taxes or anything.
Didn't have to worry about lots of things. So
had all that mental space,
bandwidth for just memorizing levels and like figuring out when you're supposed to jump or whatever. But it was way harder than, they're all way tougher than I remembered. Some of them, like the Castlevanias, I feel like I could probably muscle memory hack it to victory. But yeah, it does require a lot of precise attention that I think games, from what I've seen of games now, it just doesn't seem to matter in the same way. Like games now, it seems like there's always about 5 different ways to do everything, or you don't have to like pay as close attention to what's happening, or...
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, something like Guitar Hero would be the closest to, like, there's only one way to perfectly play the song, right? There's so like what other games? I mean, on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, what I heard is like Nintendo's philosophy is it should be like seamless to like start and stop playing the game. So like if your friend enters the room, you can just pull out the controller and hand it to them. Yeah. And now you're playing together, and it's like
2-player. Yeah.
And the game is almost besides the point, because they're actually trying to like engineer the enjoyment of like playing with someone, I guess. Right. So the games are like super casual. Yeah. Very forgiving, basic mechanics that are kind of stimulating and fun.
I think they started doing that around the kind of like Wii period, where they were like kind of consciously trying to be like, how can we get non-gamers to play this? So I think that's maybe one reason why people still are into the like NES kind of games, because they're very unforgiving for one thing. And not super accessible, even to the point of being almost like broken sometimes, where like in-game info is either inaccurate or translated wrong, or completely irrelevant to what you actually have to do. Yeah. I was watching a video.
To read the forums or subscribe to the magazine.
Subscribe to the magazine, or just... that was pretty much it at the time, because there was things that, I mean, your chance of organically figuring them out was very low. I mean, I was watching a video yesterday on Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest, which has almost sort of become its own meme. Is for being a game which is supposedly kind of broken, because a lot of the in-game info is either inaccurate or unhelpful or even misleading. So certain things, if you don't know how to do them, then if you don't have prior knowledge, then you're probably not going to be able to really progress, right?
Just obsess over it endlessly until...
I mean, now, like with Google now, I mean, you can just obviously look it up. I mean, it's not really an issue, but if you're a kid back in the day, like your friend had to just tell you, or else you're kind of not going to work it out, probably. Yeah.
It was a simpler time.
Yeah. But that was kind of the fun part, was just like, there's a lot more things that kids would just make up and, you didn't really know if it was real or not, because it seemed like it probably could be. Like there would be all these like myths or rumors about things which you could supposedly do in games, and there's no real way to verify if some kid was just talking smack or something, or not really just making it up.
Yeah, definitely some kids who would leverage that inability to confirm or deny something too.
Oh yeah, you could. I mean, it was total rumor mill, and there wasn't really clear ways to confirm or deny things. And some things did turn out to be real, years later. Like I saw some videos about things from games I played when I was a kid that I'd never seen before.
Like what?
Well, just like hidden rooms or secrets or things areas you could go to, or other kind of glitches and stuff that you could do. That's probably if someone had told me at the time, like I wouldn't have necessarily believed would have been real, but they were.
Yeah, I had to go over to his house after school to confirm what actually happened, right?
Yeah. I guess kids now are just doing everything online, so
it's like Roblox now, right?
Yeah,
or something.
I don't know if the concept of like actually going over to your friend's house really even applies too much.
Yeah. Well, in that vein, I was thinking also, like, remember when you used to say, like, BRB or gotta go or something? Like, there were clear ends to online conversations, right?
Yeah.
And now you just, like, slowly stop replying or something.
Yeah. There's no clear separation.
Right.
It's just, like, always on or always off. Yeah.
And, like, conversations will, like, pick up in weird places as you, like, meet in real life. And then, like... when you re-engage over text, like the message you send has nothing to do with the previous messages, right? Yeah,
there's no clear log of activity or start and stop. Start times and stop times.
Yeah. Remembering the, like, do you remember when MSN Messenger became Windows Live Messenger?
Not really.
No?
I never really
you weren't using it back then?
I was using like AIM, AIM or whatever.
Yeah, that never hit for me. I think that was before my time.
It's probably an earlier time. And things just probably are quite obscure now, like ICQ or whatever.
Yeah, that was around. It would randomly pop up, but like it was never relevant, basically. Yeah, for me, it was MSN was like the first kind of... I don't know, you'd almost call it like social media at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like you would add your classmates on MSN and
Yeah, for me it was AIM and ICQ were the main ones that everyone you knew was on. You're just constantly chatting or talking with. Yeah.
IRC.
Yeah, I was on IRC. One of my, I think, neighbors showed me IRC very early, like maybe, I want to say like 1997 or something. And it was just this amazement of like, you can say obscene things to strangers and suffer no consequences. It was like the most, when you're like, 10 or something, it just seems like the most amazing development of all time. You're like, you can just troll complete strangers and there's like not much they can, other than maybe block you or something or kick you out of the chat or something.
The mod eventually gets sick of you or something and blocks you. Yeah. All the IRCs I was a part of, I think, were like tied to forums usually. So it'd be like tied to a gaming or a botting forum or something, right?
Well, if I remember right, it was just like its own. Again, early days, it was just like its own little client that you could theoretically join any random thing you could find. Which, and again,
well, like IRC is like a protocol, I think, right?
Yeah.
So like anyone could technically host a server for it, right? And there were like sites that offered server as a service or something. Could like either have them make a whole server for you or just you have your own channel on there or something.
Yeah, so it seemed very flexible and quite interesting, but somewhat hard to use at the same time or figure out.
Yeah, definitely like set up overhead just to get started, right? Yeah, imagine like doing stuff like that now. I mean, I guess Nick is kind of like into that, like tinkering with random tech stuff, but like if you try and get like a normal person to like chat with you somewhere, like even getting someone like onto Signal or something, and they're like, oh, I have to download another app.
Yeah.
Or have to update it, apparently is a constant struggle, it seems.
Updates are certainly very annoying.
Do you not just have auto updates enabled? Like what's going on?
Nah, it usually just has to update.
Like you have to manually
update
why?
it or whatever. I don't know. Is that an option to just turn on auto?
It should be the default. Like everything's always updating in the background for me.
I think some of them are, but Signal for some reason, maybe you have to manually put it on or something, or at least it always usually notifies if it's like time to update or whatever.
Weird. Yeah. No, I never
seen the update screens or anything.
No, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Just checking here. Yeah, about a half hour in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so early summer here in Tokyo. Rainy season.
It's getting pretty warm already. I think it's going to be pretty global warming summer.
I feel like it's been pretty manageable until now, right? Am I imagining that? For some reason, I remember like it being worse in earlier years, but I'm also wondering, like, having quit nicotine, I feel like less hot.
Really?
Yeah.
You feel nicotine is linked to your body temperature?
I think so, yeah. Like, I think it was, like, I mean, it's like a central nervous system stimulant, right? So I think it was just like ramping everything up. So I would get like hot, I think, like much earlier, but yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
It's like this month in June, it's been like, yeah, like, you know, I'll be out at night and I'm like, oh, it's kind of chilly actually. Like I'm kind of underdressed.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah. I think it's still quite warm at night, or usually subjectively feeling the heat already.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we're on opposite sides of leg clothing philosophy.
Could be that.
Yeah,
could be that too.
I go hard into the shorts as soon as like temperatures start.
As soon as it gets warm. Yeah.
And then
shorts are very precarious. I think men getting away with short pants is a bit of it's an advanced option.
I
don't think most. Yeah.
Well, why?
Grown adult men wearing short pants is a bit of a North American thing that I think the rest of the world doesn't really fuck with too much. It's like a little boy thing or something. Like, I feel like a grown ass man wearing like jeans. I think I actually collected some images of like, I just Googled like bearded adults in shorts or something. There's certainly some amazing images that come up of people trying this look.
It's beard or shorts. Pick one. Can't do both.
Both at the same time definitely gets into a quite intense territory.
Yeah. Growing up, I hated wearing shorts for some reason. I think I had like body dysmorphia back then. But now I like don't care.
Don't care. It's just cooler. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the freedom, I think, of just not sweating profusely, I guess, right? Like the second it starts getting stuffy, I'm just like, okay, it's time for shorts.
Yeah, I think I don't remember last year being too overwhelmingly hot, but it could have been. I think it was actually objectively hotter than the
I think it was really hot. Yeah.
I
think that's what I remember. I remember it being sweltering.
Yeah. There's a few hot beach days too. I remember I was getting quite burned.
Did you go to the beach
last year? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't go at all.
Went to where was it? Hayama, I want to say. Yeah.
Yeah, no idea where that is.
Kind of. Well, I mean, they're all just kind of down by Kamakura.
Like south of Yokohama, basically.
Yeah, yeah. Yuigahama, Hayama, Enoshima. Like they're all kind of that same area, not too far from each other.
Yeah, there's also the option of going to like Chiba, right?
Like, Onjuku or whatever. Yeah.
Very east, I guess. But yeah, I think those beaches are pretty like sparser overall. Like it's a lot more secluded.
I think they're probably better, honestly.
Better.
They're probably less crowded, cleaner, more space. More what you would consider like a normal beach in other countries. Whereas the most popular Japanese beaches are insanely crowded, insanely dirty.
Dirty how like just stuff floating in the ocean?
Floating, lots of stuff floating in the ocean. Yeah, they're certainly not very clean beaches.
Damn.
Which you would, I don't know if people would assume they would be, but yeah, they're definitely not.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I think beach in Tokyo Bay, kind of Tokyo Bay area, I don't exactly picture pristine, cleanly nature, I guess, right? I think it was 2020. Was it 2020 when we went to Niigata?
Okay,
that beach was quite nice. Yeah, that was like very pristine.
Yeah, the ones that are further out there. Trying to remember another interesting ones I went to. Yamaguchi. There's a very rural part of Western Japan, but some amazing beaches out there too. Very, very big, very clean. Not too many people. Also a nice area to visit.
Yeah, I need to get a beach house.
Yeah,
diversify some real estate.
Yamaguchi is worth checking out. I mean, I think especially if you have the bike, you could probably zoom around in that area. It's just real, forest land.
I'm just pulling it up here, trying to find where it is.
Yeah, it's worth checking out.
Okay, so this is. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's like north of Kyushu, basically, the last bastion, I guess.
Yeah, really, really lovely.
Which side? The northern edge or the like Sea of Japan inner side?
I want to say Sea of Japan side, but if I remember right, I might be remembering this wrong. I could probably check later.
Beach.
But yeah, when I lived near Hiroshima, I would go out there sometimes, and it was always quite a nice area.
Hanaguri Beach or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole I feel like Tokyo is like the least exciting
in
part
terms
of Japan.
In terms of beaches or just overall?
No, just very. I mean, it's flat and then it's mountainous, basically.
Yeah,
beaches. Yeah, I'm not really a beach guy, so I never really. It's not too high on my radar. I'd like to go this year though. Would be nice. Does anyone have any like property out there or any houses? I think people rented in the past or something.
Yeah, there are. I don't know what the situation is going to be this year, but you can certainly rent properties.
Obscenely expensive probably this year, right?
Probably, yeah, it would be. But theoretically it should be possible to kind of rent properties out there and check them out.
Yeah, it would be nice. Just need a reset outside Tokyo. I'm kind of
getting kind of burned out
a little bit. Yeah.
I'm
thinking of going to Spain. I think as I mentioned, see my sister as well.
Next month or
like July possibly.
Probably have to decide. I mean, it's pretty much July now.
Yeah, so. I was looking at the tickets and they were, knock on wood, still cheap.
So reasonable.
Yeah, like cheaper than normal even. But I mean, it's still like, I mean, in simple terms, like over 1,000 for the trip, for the flights.
What about hotels and stuff too?
I didn't even look at that. That's probably going to be not good either.
That would probably
be even more, right?
Yeah, then add on some extra expenses there. That would be cool though. Spain would be really nice in July, I think.
You don't think it's just going to be sweltering hot like here, probably?
Yeah, it could be, but I don't know if it would. I mean, Japan's kind of on the early rising sun seasonal side, so I don't know if Spain would be quite as hot quite yet.
Yeah, it might be more manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's another place which apparently is sick of tourists, basically.
Spain?
So yeah,
Are people going to Spain
yeah,
now?
apparently.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Um,
Is it because of is it like Japan, like a currency thing? Is it because
not sure. I think I don't know. It's might be just kind of a hype thing. I think
might just be hyped? Yeah.
yeah. I like even among I might be able to meet up with a friend I've known since elementary school who's there as well, who independently organized a trip there. Yeah, I feel like I've had a few friends who went there recently, so I feel like it might kind of be on some kind of tourist
hit list or whatever.
Something like that.
Interesting, yeah. I don't know what the economy is actually like there at the moment. If it's but it's euros, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Germany just what's the word? Underpinning or whatever, supporting their whole economy, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard too much about Spain recently, but I'm sure it would probably be pretty nice weather actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I part of that trip I might do like Munich first, actually. And man, I can't stop thinking about the bakeries and sandwiches and stuff of Germany.
German baked goods.
Yeah, so good.
They're real.
Yeah,
they're real.
Like just the correctly what's the word? Like coordinated or matched, like the meat and the cheese and the bread, it all goes together.
Everything
nicely.
matches perfectly. Yeah.
Japan can't hit that, unfortunately.
They have, Japan has weird ideas about sandwiches and like what constitutes a sandwich.
Yeah, or bread even.
Or bread, yeah.
They go very soft on everything, right? Like it's...
I think they just never got away from the like dessert bread philosophy where they don't see it as like a savory thing really. So everything's conceptualized in terms of like very sweet, very soft, kind of like early morning sweet breads or something. They're not really baking, sturdy loaves meant for filling sandwiches or whatever. Yeah. Or if they are, it's like three or four times the price of what
just unreasonable.
Like, realistically should be.
Yeah.
Like that Viron place in Shibuya.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Which, is pretty good, but it should be, like in Europe, it would be like a third of the price.
Right. Yeah.
If that.
Yeah, I mean, in Europe, those are their konbinis, basically, right? Those are their...
It's just like konbini tier. Like prices and probably not too different quality for
local standards, basically, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't really like if you just want to get like a lunch sandwich, like you don't really want to pay like full dinner prices just for
like a mid-afternoon kind of hold me over, like right?
A ham and cheese sandwich should not be like the price of a full dinner.
It's the other thing with Japan lately, like prices just everything feels so expensive, right?
Everything's especially quite ridiculous at the moment
for local currency, I suppose.
Anyone who's thinking of coming here, please be generous with your dollars or whatever, because you could realistically probably afford like 2 or 3 meals for what people are paying in yen, at least, right? So, don't be shy about buying your friends dinner.
your tour guides, your unofficial tour guides.
Buying your friends dinner or sandwiches or really anything, because,
this message is very clearly not targeted towards a specific person.
No, just everyone. Everyone should
buy me more sandwiches.
Should be buying sandwiches or dinners or other items.
Yeah, they're saying yen could go to like 200 yen per US dollar or something.
I think they said it was the worst since like 1980, something like early 80s almost. Like almost like pre-bubble prices, which is kind of ridiculous. But
I don't know what to do with that information.
I mean, even the 90s here were considered like a recession, but I think the yen was much higher than compared to compared to now.
Mm.
And that was considered a recession at the time.
Mm.
Weirdly enough, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it all comes down to like where, like relative to the global economy, what's going on, right?
Yeah. Well, I think they're gonna have to intervene.
Well, they are, right?
Yeah,
They keep intervening, but so apparently, what they're doing basically is they'll dump like millions or billions of I don't know, millions, billions. Anyway, they're using their like reserve US dollars to buy yen, basically.
Okay, yeah.
And so the headlines I keep seeing is, you know, like Kishida issues stern warning to foreign currency speculators that, you know, the Bank of Japan will not hesitate to intervene if it sees any rapid moves or something, right? So like they're basically like just trying to, I don't know, like big dog foreign currency traders to basically like be like, you know, your $2 million trades is like nothing to us, I guess. Like we'll wipe it out in a second if we feel like it, right? But I mean, the overall trend is very clear.
Yeah.
So Kishida's stern warnings do very little for my, you know, import goods, import motorcycle gear, shopping hobby, right?
I think there has been like some tax cuts recently, if I remember right, too.
Yep. They cut a bit. I think they basically gave let's say $300 sanman off for everyone.
Yeah, which is pretty good.
It's nice. Yeah, I mean, it's a one-time thing. Like, it's not gonna fix things. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, going back to a topic that we often find ourselves in, but yeah, just like late stage capitalism seeming vibes, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
we can't just print money, really. I mean, it's not really. Well, you can.
Well, you can, but
not really gonna fix things too much.
So the weird thing is, like, apparently, this is driven by the U.S. inflation or something. Like, I don't think Japan inflated their monetary supply as much as the U.S. did.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how things interweave here, and how.
But it does have to do with the dollar,
basically. Yeah. And there was this thing also, like for a long time, Japan had what was called negative yields on. Basically, what it meant for that. A bank could borrow money from the central bank for like a negative interest rate, right? So as time went on, I believe the bank would have to pay back less. So basically, it was a central bank policy aimed for increasing spending, increasing loans, increasing like stimulating the economy that way, because Japan has been like in the shadow, or threatening to deflate their currency supply constantly. So I think that was the main thing they were battling, and I think it was early this year the US basically convinced them to drop that policy, and now they also now it's also a positive interest rate for banks. I don't know what any of this means, to be honest. I'm not well versed in the implications.
But I'm not surprised it is like a US tied thing, as with many Japanese trends or things that happen. It's
but it's like if you're trying to align with the US, and the US economy doesn't seem to be particularly doing well either,
out too much either.
So it's like, what's even? It seems like a lot of kind of asset accrual. Like everyone's trying to get as much assets as possible, because I think the writing's probably on the wall that like the economy will, I don't know, be reset or something. There'll be some kind of economic transition.
Well, people usually, in times like that, people usually go for like resources, like hard resource kind of stuff.
Real estate,
land, gold, real estate,
gold, silver, Bitcoin. Hopefully, I know.
Is Bitcoin still on its own side quest, or like is it still up and down, or is it just still down? Or
so yeah, I mean, I think where we are in the cycle right now is we're in the like downtrend before the big upwards move. I think
that was from a few years ago, though, wasn't it? Like, hasn't it just been bottoming for like?
No, we went back up to like 60K, 65K, 70K even. I think we might have hit a higher all-time high, but then it kind of slumped for a bit. So I think we're at the point where we'll see the actual huge explosion in value. Yeah, but who knows? I mean, the funny thing with Bitcoin is at least it seemed during COVID times, it basically was just following the moves of the stock market, right?
Yeah.
So
it's kind of mirroring it.
Yeah. So like in terms of it being a hedge against inflation, it didn't really seem like it lived up to that goal, right? Like it was just another kind of tech speculation asset. But yeah, I mean, that could just be COVID times when money was free basically and everyone was getting grants and loans and infinite money printing supply, right? Yeah. But so yeah, maybe when shit does hit the fan economically, maybe it will actually do its own thing, but I don't know. Hard to say at this point.
Kind of got to wait and see, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I still have to check that ancient Richard computer that may have a wallet with a few hundred Bitcoins or whatever.
Really? Yeah. Well, be careful who you tell that to, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
This is all very theoretical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how many, if there's like people that, like someone's dad that just bought it like when it first came out on a whim and then just like forgot about the computer. So it's just like on some ancient hard drive or something.
Yeah, I mean, presumably, like we've gone through a few of the kind of crazy explosions in value with Bitcoin. So each one of those is supposed to, like, it should shake out. Just watching you struggle with this. Got it?
Yeah.
The other one, okay.
Oh yeah.
No, it's you need to flip it inside out. Yeah, just like that.
There you go.
There you go. Excellent. Yeah, like every time Bitcoin peaks, I guess, like people are probably asking that same question you just asked. Like, I know I have a wallet around here somewhere, right? So presumably, and everyone who could recover it at this point would have. Presumably, yeah. There's apparently one guy in the UK who's like still like digging through trash trying to like find a hard drive he threw out or something
from like 10 years ago or something
like that. Yeah, some wild story.
And he had like hundreds of Bitcoins.
Yeah, millions of dollars or whatever, right? Like it's enough to justify spending the rest of your life digging through trash for it, I suppose.
And his parents threw it out or something? Or
I think he mistakenly threw it out. Yeah. Can't remember what was going on.
It just sounds like something like, your parents threw out your comic collection. And you had like Super Action Comics 1 or something. You just had things that are worth like crazy prices now.
Yeah. I guess kind of like that, right? I read a case story recently where there's services that will help you recover your Bitcoin wallet. Basically, like if you lost your key or whatever through you wrote down the wrong thing or you lost a piece of paper that had it. And normally, basically, this is an impossible task because it's just like if you have nothing to go off of, you just can't brute force it, right?
Like just hack through it.
Yeah, like it takes more energy to do that than there has been since the Big Bang or whatever, right? Like it's just a mathematically impossible task.
Could you do it with like a quantum computer or something?
I don't know. It's a good question, actually. It might make it more feasible, but I think the like namespace, whatever, like the like entropy or whatever, like the space within which all possible keys are generated is still like really, really big.
Okay.
So maybe it like increases your ability to do so by like 2 orders of magnitude, but still like impossible or something.
Take
maybe
like a million years or something to do it. Yeah.
But so in this case, the guy basically he knew he generated the key using like a kind of password manager or something, right? So it's you know how like Chrome can automatically generate
auto password. Yeah.
And so they were able to like, basically it came out that there was a bug in the generation of that, like the automatic generation where it wasn't actually that random. Basically.
Yeah.
So
they had some lead on what it could have been.
So they basically knew it was like you had to essentially know the exact time when you generated it. Like, the random password that was generated was linked to the time when you generated it. So they basically had to like, okay, like when do you think you created this key?
But you had to know it down to like the minute or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
But so, he was like, okay, I generated it in like March of, 2013 or whatever, right? And so then they just like tried every single second. So they just generated one. Yeah. So like it still took a lot of time to do it, but I mean, he had some other information. It was like, you had to do you include symbols in the password, right? Or is it just numbers and letters? So like he had to have that information.
So it's like real cryptography kind of stuff, right? Yeah.
Kind of, I mean, like it's like, key recovery, basically, right? This is kind of what it's like. I tried to help someone with this actually a few years ago where they like one of the formats that a Bitcoin key can be stored in is called what is it, like it's like BIP 32 or something, but it's some like mnemonic scheme. But essentially, your Bitcoin key becomes like a list of 12 or 24 words, right?
Okay, yeah.
And the words are like like apple, like beds, like door, like available, like kind of just like very simple English kind of words, but it's a finite list of words, right? So there's 100,000 words that are used, and like the order of these words basically makes up your key.
Okay, yeah.
And so he had lost like the last few words or something, right? So he had like 9 out of 12 words or something. So like theoretically, this becomes brute forceable.
Yeah, you
right?
could probably figure that too from that. Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, if you know the order and you know that you have the first 9 words and then it's just the last 3 words, right? And then it's like, okay, well, the maximum number of options would be like 100,000 times 100,000 times 100,000.
Just gotta crank it out.
Yeah. But theoretically, you could, right? And if you have any other information, like, oh, I know that the second word started with a B, then you can start condensing the namespace, right? This was just a random guy on Reddit, and I didn't hear back from him. I don't know if he ever found it, but you hope that you can help him recover it, and then he would share some of the spoils.
Give you some of what he found, right? Yeah.
But some random guy on Reddit, probably like the second. If you do recover it successfully, he'll be like, "Oh, thanks,
okay, thanks,
right?
bye." Right?
Yeah, basically, right?
Yeah.
Once that money hits, you're not feeling too generous
with what. Yeah. How you got it, right?
Yeah.
How you unlocked it.
Yeah.
That's wild, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, keep track of your keys, kids. Don't lose your keys. But yeah, this is kind of the issue with blockchain crypto stuff is I mean, they're talking about it now with like account abstraction, which basically the idea is the feature, like how do you build the feature so that people don't need to manage their own keys, right? Because it seems that for the average person, the idea
too much responsibility. Yeah.
But like at the same time, I'm like, how can it be, right? Like you keep track of your driver's license, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's, I mean, I guess it's just people are so afraid of the idea that if you lose it, no one can help you. I guess that's just like terrifying. But yeah, no, like, yeah, keep track of your stuff, basically, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's very similar. Going back to what we were talking about with video games, like before, it also probably sounds really strange to people now, but like video games didn't used to have like battery memory really. So like you couldn't for things where there was obvious levels of advancement, like you couldn't really save where you were unless you used like a password system. And like for some things the password system was like almost unfeasibly complicated to like write down all of the symbols. So like half the time you would get some of these passwords and you'd be sitting there trying to input them for like half an hour, and then you would just like give up and be like, you know, it probably wouldn't even take the amount of time to get the password correct versus just like playing the game again. You could probably get back up to where you were.
But so this was like a checkpoint thing. You'd like reach a sign and it would be like, to come back here, you need to like.
Well, if you like tried to, I guess, save, but again, you weren't really like saving anything. You would just get like a password,
and then on the menu
have to put in. And this was for things like, I'm trying to think of examples, like the original Metroid was like this.
Yeah, vaguely rings a bell.
Where to the point where like I remember I couldn't. It was a game that I gave up on very early because I was like, I would be sitting there trying to input the passwords correctly, and it just like wouldn't work, or like I would be getting the symbols wrong, or I'd be trying to write them down. So it was just way too much effort for what like a little kid would, you know, be willing to or able to even keep track of. I mean, you'd like need a notebook just to like put in, you know, these like 50 character passwords or something.
50 characters, it's crazy.
Some of them, I remember some of them were incredibly long and elaborate.
Like, I mean, I was picturing just like the three like scrolly boxes.
No. This is like you're having to sit there and be like, oh, is this like a backwards slash or a upwards?
Oh,
like
that's crazy.
You're having to like figure out the characters.
Like
and
made
like
it deliberately more cryptic than it needs to be, or something.
Yeah, some of them were incredibly unwieldy. And you know, it seems like something like, couldn't you just have like a battery and just save state this, or like some?
Yeah, I never got Metroid. Like the game that I played for GameCube was Metroid Prime.
Okay, yeah.
And you know, like you bought it because it looks like Halo, right? Then you play it, and I know, like I remember just I like lost track of where I was supposed to go.
Yeah.
So like I kept just rewalking the same area, trying to figure out like what the next thing I was supposed to do. Like there was no like indication of like, here's where you need to go and here's what you need to do.
The original was like that too. I mean, it was just like open-ended exploration, and much of it very.
But you like run out of stuff to do, and you're like, where am I supposed to go for more stuff to do? Like I've killed all the enemies like in this area, right?
Yeah,
and there's like no clear indication of. Like,
and if I remember right, the original one is just like basically is like brute forcing, trying to like bomb every single wall tile, and like maybe one of them leads to like the next area or something. But if you don't have the time to do that, then you're like, okay, like what? I've just killed an hour in like the same corridor. I don't know what to do. Or
right.
Like, so.
It's kind of aimless, I guess, or something.
Yeah, one reason I was never such a fan of those ones either.
But they kept making them, so someone clearly
I guess
was.
I guess some people got really into them, or it kind of is that maybe open-ended sense of like having to just trial and error everything. But
maybe you kind of learn what the developers do as well, and you kind of start being able to anticipate where they're hiding stuff or something. Yeah.
But yeah, they're never. I was much more into Castlevania or some of the other ones, which again had similar elements to that, but I thought they were easier to figure out or kind of make your way through more organically.
Yeah. We're at an hour
we're at
here.
our time here.
Yeah.
Might be a good time to call it.
Yeah. Let's break here. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Until next time.
Until next time.